to open the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education meeting for January 18th. Please come to order. Mrs. Saradecki, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Brody? Here. Dr. Clancy? Here. Mrs. Soriano? Here. Mrs. Williams? Here. Mrs. Winkler? Here. Dr. Kulikowski?
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you. Please join me in the salute to the flag. Thank you very much. Tonight is a very special evening as we recognize 8 tenured teachers who are the recipients of the 2017-18 Governor's Educator of the Year Awards, as well as school counselors and classroom aides who are this year's recipients of the Governor's Educational Services Professional of the Year Award. These dedicated staff members have a passion for education. They are creative and caring individuals in their respective fields, and they have earned the respect and admiration of their students and their families, their colleagues, and our administrators for their unselfish commitment to their students and our district. In addition, tonight we are pleased to recognize 3 of our secondary level educators who have received New Jersey Department of Education's 2017 New Jersey Exemplary Secondary Educator Award. Unknown to them, their nominations were submitted by Dr. Mast, our Assistant Superintendent, with the support and input from their administrators, supervisors, and myself. We are so pleased that they are being honored for their outstanding leadership, their contributions to our district, and most important, for the inspirational teaching and learning that they provide that enriches our students. So for tonight, with the support of principals and administrators, we have prepared resolutions to honor each of these recipients. So what we're going to do tonight is I'm going to invite the principals up. They are going to invite the recipients from their school, and then our board members will be reading resolutions on their behalf. So to get us started, I'd like to call up Mr. Scott Bortnick from Brunners School.
Thank you, Dr. Head. Dr. Hayes, thank you, Board of Ed, to mix those two together. It's a great honor to introduce a truly magical pre-K teacher, Mrs. Mary Jean Madden, and an incredibly patient and caring instructional aide at Brunner, Mrs. Erin Kikelis.
I'm going to read the resolutions. Whereas Mary Jean Madden, a tenured teacher in Scotch Plains Fanwood Public Schools, is Brunner School's recipient of the 2017-18 Governor's Educator of the Year Award. And whereas Mrs. Madden has a passion for education that is truly palpable the moment you enter a organized, child-centered, and appropriately structured classroom, Mrs. Madden's knowledge of her students and their individual needs allows her to tailor instruction to the individual level and meet every child where they are, and move them forward in the most appropriate and thoughtful manner. And whereas Mrs. Madden is truly a gift to her students and their families, in addition, through her professional growth and support of both new and veteran teachers, she contributes greatly to her colleagues and administrators as well. And whereas Mrs. Madden is a creative and caring educator who has earned the respect and admiration of her students, their families, her colleagues, and our administrators for her unselfish commitment to her students and the district. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and commends Mary Jean Madden for being honored as Brunner School's recipient of the 2017-18 Governor's Educator of the Year Award and extends to her best wishes for her continued success. Whereas Erin Kikelis has been named
named Brunner Schools recipient of the 2017-18 Governor's Educational Services Professional of the Year Award. And whereas Mrs. McKellis is a classroom aide who does a remarkable job of supporting students throughout the day. Mrs. McKellis is a warm demander. Students know she cares for them and they know she is there to help them achieve success. And whereas Mrs. Pekelis has worked in pre-K and second grade, and she is truly an asset to the classrooms in which she works. Due to her responsiveness and flexibility, she is a true asset to her building's principal. And whereas Mrs. Pekelis is a creative and caring aide who has earned the respect and admiration of her students, their families, the Brunner School faculty, her colleagues and our administrators for her unselfish commitment to her students and the district. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and commends Erin Pekelis for being honored as Brunner School's recipient of the 2017-18 Governor's Educational Services Professional of the Year Award and extends to her all best wishes for her continued success.
Now I would like to call up Dr. Karen Weatherall, principal of Coles Elementary School, and we had Stephanie Sirianni just now, and I'd like to bring up Amy Winkler, board member.
Congratulations to all the recipients tonight. I'd like to call up an inspirational art teacher, Ms. Paula Riley. My dedicated classroom aide, Kathy Vaughn.
Whereas Paula Riley, a tenured art teacher in the Scotch Plains Family Public Schools, is Coles School's recipient of the 2017-18 Governor's Educator of the Year Award. And whereas Mrs. Riley is a highly skilled art teacher whose passion for art allows her to create a classroom where students' creativity is allowed to flourish. Mrs. Riley uses multisensory instruction and modifies instruction to meet students' needs. And whereas Mrs. Riley has introduced Coles students to innovative units of study, which include pottery, basket weaving, and sculpting, and she provides the students with the knowledge, tools, and motivation they need to produce their best work. And whereas Mrs. Riley willingly takes on the added responsibility of organizing the Coles Art Show in order to showcase students' artwork. And whereas Mrs. Riley is a creative and caring art teacher who has earned the respect and admiration of her students, their families, her colleagues, and our administrators for her unselfish commitment to her students and the district. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and commends Paula Riley for being honored at Coles Schools as Coles Schools recipient of the 2017-18 Governor's Educator of the Year Award and extends to her best wishes for her continued success. Whereas Catherine Mon has been named Coles Schools recipient of the 2017-18 Governor's Educational Services Professional of the Year Award. And whereas Mrs. Mon is a classroom aide who does a remarkable job of supporting students throughout the day. Mrs. Mon has an amazing work ethic and is dedicated and committed to all the students and staff at Coles School. And whereas Mrs. Mon understands students' academic, social, and emotional needs, she reinforces the focus of each lesson, and she takes the initiative to provide students with the supports that promote their success. And whereas Mrs. Mon is an asset in the classroom and enriches the students' learning activities. And whereas Mrs. Mon is a beloved and caring classroom aide who has earned the respect and admiration of her students and their parents, her colleagues, and our administrators for her unselfish commitment to her students and the district. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and commends Catherine Mon for being honored as Cole Schools recipient of the 2017-18 Governor's Educational Services Professional of the Year Award, and extends to her all best wishes for her continued success.
Now I'd like to bring up Colleen Hobart, principal of Evergreen School, and Dr. Kulakowski, board vice president.
Good evening, everyone. It is my great pleasure to introduce you to an extraordinary third grade teacher, Mrs. Kate Boldo, and a deeply compassionate, conscientious, and dedicated instructional aide, Mrs. Lisa Migolino.
Whereas Kate Boldo, a tenured teacher at the Scotch Plains Vanwood Schools, is Evergreen Schools recipient of the 2017-18 Governor's Educator of the Year Award. Whereas Mrs. Boldo is a talented and exceptional third grade teacher who creates an incredible learning environment in her classroom where her students are motivated, challenged, and thrive every day under her high expectations. Her enthusiasm for teaching is evident and contagious in all that she does. And whereas Mrs. Boldo has a strong rapport with her students, and she maintains an excellent communication between parents and teachers. And whereas Mrs. Boldo is a creative and caring educator who has earned the respect and admiration of her students, their families, her colleagues, and our administrators for her unselfish commitment to her students and the district. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and commends Kate Boldo for being honored as Evergreen's recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educator of the Year and extends to her all best wishes for her continued success. And whereas Lisa Migolino has been named Evergreen Schools recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educational Services Professional of the Year, and whereas Mrs. Migolino conducts herself with professionalism and integrity, and she embraces her roles as a classroom aide every day with a positive attitude. And whereas Mrs. Migolino strives to learn each child's learning style, she demonstrates dedication and diligence that enhances the student's learning environment. And whereas Mrs. Migolino is a creative and caring aide who has earned the respect and admiration for her students, their families, the Evergreen School faculty, and her colleagues and our administrators for her unselfish commitment to her students and the district. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Vanwood Board of Education recognizes and commends Lisa Migolino for being honored as Evergreen's recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educational Services Professional of the Year Award and extends to her all best wishes for her continued success. Congratulations.
And now it's my pleasure to call Dr. Sasha Slocum, principal of McGinn School.
Thank you and congratulations to all these fabulous people here tonight that we're celebrating. It is my incredible honor to welcome to the stage teacher, leader, mentor, and outstanding second grade teacher, Mrs. Dorothy Lusk. and someone who has worked very closely with her incredible, compassionate, and wonderful person who can make anybody want to learn, Mrs. Jackie Merlot.
I have to say this is really an honor for me because I just realized over 10 years ago I had the honor of volunteering as a parent volunteer in Mrs. Merlot's classroom. So I got to see their kindness and the warmth firsthand. Whereas Dorothy Lusk, a tenured teacher in the Scotch Plains Family Public School, is McGinn's recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educator of the Year Award. And whereas Mrs. Lusk is a highly skilled second grade teacher who has created a nurturing environment for her students, whereby each student has the opportunity to flourish and grow. And whereas Mrs. Lusk's dedication to her students is unmatched, she is constantly differentiating her rigorous instruction so that each student is appropriately challenged and successful. Mrs. Lusk employs questioning techniques that encourage students to use higher level thinking skills, draw conclusions, and make connections across the curriculum. And whereas Mrs. Lusk is a teacher leader as new standards and instructional approaches are introduced. She demonstrates leadership and commitment to her students and their education and is always ready to assist while learning with her colleagues. And whereas Mrs. Lusk exhibits strong knowledge and skills and is an inspiring presence, she is someone who has a clear vision for quality teaching and learning, continuously developing herself professionally. She participates in numerous developmental opportunities, and whereas Mrs. Lusk gifts her students with her own special send-off to middle school by writing to each of them a note for best wishes on their eve of their start at Terrell. And whereas Mrs. Lusk is a radiant presence, and as such, she has earned the respect and admiration of her students, their families, her colleagues, and our administrators for her unselfish commitment to her students. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and commends Dorothy Lusk for being honored as a recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educator of the Year Award and extends to her best wishes for her continued success. Whereas Jackie Merlot has been named McGinn Schools recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educational Services Professional of the Year Award, and whereas Mrs. Merlot conducts herself with professionalism and integrity, and she embraces her role as a classroom aide every day with a positive attitude. And whereas Mrs. Merlot has an infinite amount of patience and always treats these students and staff with kindness. Mrs. Merlot independently identifies students' needs and provides just the amount of guidance in a respectful and quiet way. And whereas Mrs. Merlot pays attention to the smallest and minute details to make sure every single student feels recognized. Mrs. Merlot will act quickly to ensure a child has a walk, an academic support, or a person to talk to in order to be successful. And whereas Mrs. Merlot is a creative and caring aide who has earned the respect and admiration of her students, their families, the McGinn School faculty, her colleagues, and our administrators for her unselfish commitment to her students and the district. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education
recognizes and commends Jacqueline Merlot for being honored as McGinn Schools recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educational Services Professional of the Year Award and extends to her all best wishes for her continued success.
Now I'd like to invite up Justin Fury, principal of School 1, as well as Tanya Williams, board member.
Congratulations to all of our recipients. I am thrilled to introduce to you two amazing educators, Ms. Linda Marsico and of course Mr. C.
Whereas Raymond Seawiz, a tenured teacher in the Scotch Plains Family Public Schools, is School 1's recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educator of the Year Award. And whereas as a physical education teacher, Mr. Seawiz, Mr. C as he's lovingly referred to by the students, staff, and parents, has the unique ability to make every child feel like a star. Mr. C's thoughtful and creative lesson plan make dim fun for all students. And whereas Mr. C always stresses sportsmanship and that impact is felt far and school-wide. Mr. C makes field day an experience not only for the School 1 students, but for the entire Family and Scotch Plains communities. Above anything else, Mr. C is an inspiration to all that he comes in contact with. And whereas Mr. Seawiz is a creative and caring educator who has earned the respect and admiration of the students and their parents, his colleagues, and our administrators for his unselfish commitment to his students and the district. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and commends Raymond Seawiz for being honored as School 1's recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educator of the Year Award and extends him best wishes for his continued success. Whereas Lynn DiMarsico has been named School 1's recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educational Services Professional of the Year Award, and whereas Mrs. DiMarsico is a classroom aide whose compassion and understanding of students from all backgrounds and abilities is unmatched. Mrs. DiMarsico has the ability to not only engage students, but promotes understanding and builds confidence in them. And whereas Mrs. DiMarsico helps to make the classroom a safe, positive, and pleasant environment for all children, by simply talking to children, Mrs. DiMarsico is able to put a smile on their faces. And whereas Mrs. DiMarsico works tirelessly every day to make a difference in the learning process, her kindness, patience, and understanding makes her someone the students know and trust. And whereas Mrs. DiMarsico is a creative and caring classroom aide who has earned the respect and admiration of her students, their families, the School 1 faculty, her colleagues, and our administrators for her unselfish commitment to her students and the district. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and commends Lynn DiMarsico for being honored as School 1's recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educational Services Professional of the Year Award and extends to her all best wishes for her continued success.
And now it's my honor to call up Dr. Jocelyn Dumas, principal of Park Middle School, and Karen Kulakowski.
evening, everyone, and congratulations to all the winners tonight. It is my honor. I am so thrilled to call up first Mrs. Bonnie Thompson, a wonderfully warm and compassionate special education mathematics teacher at Park. And next, Mr. Jason Cross, who is so patient and an excellent book recommender, by the way, school guidance counselor at Park.
Thank you, Dr. Dumas. Whereas Bonnie Thompson, a tenured teacher at the Scotch Plains Fanwood Public Schools, is Park Middle School's recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educator of the Year Award. And whereas Mrs. Thompson is a highly skilled special education teacher who has created a nurturing environment in her math classes where her students are motivated and challenged every day. Whereas Mrs. Thompson's passion for teaching mathematics enables her to make every student feel good about themselves and proud of their accomplishments. Mrs. Thompson is committed to improving students' excitement about mathematics. And whereas always attentive to the diverse student needs, Mrs. Thompson brings positivity to every interaction. She goes above and beyond in the service of students. And whereas Mrs. Thompson provides encouragement, support, guidance to students and staff, and as such, she contributes greatly to the Park Middle School environment. And whereas Mrs. Thompson is a creative and caring educator who has earned the respect and admiration of her students, their parents, her colleagues, and our administrators for her unselfish commitment to her students and the district. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education recognizes and commends Bonnie Thompson for being honored as Park Middle School's recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educator of the Year Award and extends to her best wishes for her continued success. Whereas Jason Cross has been named Park Middle School's recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educational Services Professional of the Year Award. And whereas in his role as a middle school guidance counselor, Mr. Cross is passionate about each one of his students. He always puts students and their needs first. Always patient, thoughtful, and kind, Mr. Cross fosters empathy in student interactions as well. And whereas Mr. Cross welcomes students and families into his offices with a positive approach, in addition, he takes the time to listen, reflect, and support his colleagues. Whereas Mr. Cross is a positive presence in the middle school, and as such, he has earned the respect and admiration of his students, their families, his colleagues, and our administrators for his unselfish commitment to his students and the district. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education recognizes and commends Jason Cross for being honored as Park Middle School's recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educational Services Professional of the Year Award and extends to him best wishes for his continued success. Congratulations.
And now I'd like to call up Dr. Kevin Holloway, principal of Terrell Middle School, and Deb Brody, board member.
Again, congratulations to all the recipients. It is my pleasure, honor, excited to introduce the music man, the maestro of music at Terrell Middle School for instrumental music, Mr. John Gillick. And an amazing individual, creative teacher, a born leader, a master teacher of mathematics, Ms. Sarah Duran.
teacher in the Scotch Plains Family Public Schools, is Terrell Middle School's recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educator of the Year Award. And whereas Mr. Gillick is a master musician and his passion for music enables him to create a classroom where the study of music is engaging, fun, and meaningful for all students. And whereas Mr. Gillick is a student-centered and highly reflective educator whose care and compassion for his students is evident in all that he does. And whereas Mr. Gillick consistently strives for excellence and provides opportunities for students to showcase their talents. And whereas Mr. Gillick is a creative and caring educator who has earned the respect and admiration of his students, their families, his colleagues, and our administrators for his unselfish commitment to his students and the district. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and commends John Gillick for being honored as Terrell Middle School's recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educator of the Year Award and extends to him all best wishes for his continued success.
And now I'd like to call up Amy Winkler, who's going to read the resolution on behalf of Sarah Duran.
Whereas Sarah Durand, a 7th grade mathematics teacher at Terrell Middle School, has been selected by the New Jersey Department of Education as the recipient of the 2017 New Jersey Exemplary Secondary Educator Award. And whereas Ms. Durand exhibits all of the qualities of an excellent educator, she is innovative, reflective, resourceful, and flexible. Ms. Durand employs a student-centered approach to teaching and learning mathematics. And whereas Ms. Durand is an attentive and highly reflective educator whose care and compassion for her students is evident in all that she does. And whereas Ms. Durand is an avid learner, an educator who is innately inquisitive, who continuously reflects on improving educational outcomes for all students. She collaborates well with colleagues and is committed to progress, innovation, and assisting experienced and novice teachers through teamwork. And whereas Ms. Durand is a creative and supportive educator who is valued by her school and community, she has exhibited strong knowledge and skills and is an inspiring presence. She is someone who has a clear vision for quality teaching and learning. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and commends Sarah Durand for being selected by the New Jersey Department of Education as the recipient of the 2017 New Jersey Exemplary Secondary Educator Award and extends to her best wishes for her continued success.
And now at this time, I'd like to call Dr. Jocelyn Uresek up, along with Stephanie Suriani, and we will present the Secondary Educator of the Year Award for PAR.
Hello again, and now I am thrilled to bring up Jamie Yakinchek, who is, we can clap him, sure. Innovative, funny, and incredibly student-centered. Whereas Jamie Yakinchek, a language arts teacher at Park Middle School, has been selected by the New Jersey Department of Education as the recipient of the 2017 New Jersey Exemplary Secondary Educator Award. And whereas Mrs. Yakinchek is an excellent educator who is student-centered and highly reflective, and whose care and compassion for her students is evident in all that she does, and whereas Mrs. Yakinchek makes writing meaningful and rigorous for her students, she pushes students to be their best through her individual interactions with them, and whereas Mrs. Yakinchek possesses a can-do attitude about all she does, Mrs. Yakinchek is an avid learner, an educator who is innately inquisitive and continuously reflects on improving educational outcomes for all students. She collaborates well with colleagues, and she is always on the cutting edge of technology. And whereas Mrs. Yakinchek is a creative and caring educator who is valued by her school and community, she has exhibited strong knowledge and skills and is an inspiring presence. She is someone who has a clear vision for quality teaching and learning. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and commends Jamie Yakinchek for being selected by the New Jersey Department of Education as the recipient of the 2017 New Jersey Exemplary Secondary Educator Award and extends to her best wishes for her continued success.
And now it's my honor to introduce Dr. David Heisey, principal of Scotch Plains Family High School, and to bring back Deb Roby, board member.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce an outstanding and well-respected business education teacher at Scotch Plains Family High School, Marjorie Fitzgibbon. To introduce one of the finest school counselors you're ever going to find, Candace Kilmer. And finally, a teacher who's creative that takes her students to a Spanish-speaking country just about every day, Marie Concepcion.
Whereas Marjorie Fitzgibbon, a tenured teacher in the Scotch Plains Family Public Schools, is Scotch Plains Family High School's recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Education of the Year Award. And whereas Ms. Fitzgibbon is the advisor for the Scotch Plains Family High School's Distributed Education Club of America, DECA, which is one of the largest chapters in the state of New Jersey. Whereas Mrs. Fitzgibbon puts the needs of her students above her own, Mrs. Fitzgibbon is a positive presence in the high school and has contributed greatly to our combined communities of Fanwood and Scotch Plains through DECA's community service. And whereas Mrs. Fitzgibbon dedicates many hours to help coach her students to achieve success when they participate in DECA competitions. And whereas Mrs. Fitzgibbon prepares many students for earning their Bachelor of Arts in Business at the college level. And whereas Mrs. Fitzgibbon is a creative and caring educator who has earned the respect and admiration of her students and their parents, her colleagues, and our administrators for her unselfish commitment to her students and the district. Therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and commends Marjorie Fitzgibbon for being honored as the Scotch Plains Family's recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Education of the Year Award and extends to her best wishes for her continued success. Whereas Candace Kilmer has been named Scotch Plains Family High School's recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educational Services Professional of the Year Award. And whereas in her role as high school guidance counselor, Candace Kilmer is a strong advocate for her students. Mrs. Kilmer is passionate about each one of her students she counsels. And whereas Mrs. Kilmer is involved in many facets of the school community, enhancing the culture of the high school, Mrs. Kilmer has been instrumental in reviving the high school Student of the Month program. And whereas Mrs. Kilmer is an outstanding listener and welcomes students and families into her office with a positive approach, as well as guidance for attainable goals. And whereas Mrs. Kilmer is a positive presence in the high school, and as such, she has earned the respect and admiration of her students, their families, her colleagues, and our administrators for her unselfish commitment to her students and the district. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and commends Candace Kilmer for being honored as Scotch Plains Family High School's recipient of the 2017-2018 Governor's Educational Services Professional of the Year Award and extends to her best wishes for continued success. Whereas Marie Concepcion, a tenured teacher at Scotch Plains Family High School, has been selected by the New Jersey Department of Education as a recipient of the 2017 New Jersey Exemplary Secondary Educator Award. And whereas Mrs. Concepcion is a student-centered world language educator who skillfully integrates music, speaking, listening, and writing into her lessons. Mrs. Concepcion sets high expectations for students and couples, making learning a foreign language fun and enjoyable. And whereas Mrs. Concepcion is responsible for initiating and coordinating the Barcelona Exchange Program, where our high school students spend 10 days in Spain with a host family and are challenged to use their Spanish to communicate while experiencing aspects of daily life in Spain. In addition, Mrs. Concepcion skillfully handles all of the travel arrangements for the Barcelona students to visit our students and experience aspects of daily life as an American teenager. And whereas Mrs. Concepcion facilitates the Advanced Placement Program as well as the Spanish Heritage Program, which celebrate the histories, cultures, and contributions of American citizens whose ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. And whereas Mrs. Concepcion is a creative and caring teacher who is valued by her school community, she has exhibited strong knowledge and skills and is an inspiring presence. She is someone who has a clear vision for quality world language teaching and learning. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and commends Marie Concepcion for being selected by the New Jersey Department of Education as the recipient of the 2017 New Jersey Exemplary Secondary Educator Award and extends to her best wishes for her continued success. Congratulations to all the recipients. Thank you very much. Okay, now that we've had the motions, can I have a second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Any no? Anybody say? The motion passes. Thank you.
I'd like to get my congratulations to all the recipients, and I also want to thank all of you for coming out to support them and to celebrate them. Many of you are members of their families, and you give of your time so that they can accomplish all that they accomplish. Many of you are their colleagues. Thank you for supporting them. And to those of you who are the children of these recipients, thank you for being here as well and for sharing your parents with us, because we're a better district for having these fine educators. We are truly blessed to have such outstanding teachers, classroom mates, counselors, support staff in our district. It's wonderful. Now at this time, before you take off with those certificates, we need the recipients to come up here because we have to do our annual photo. Thank you all.
To re-adjourn the meeting of Scotch Plains Fairwood Board of Education. Prior to this meeting, we had our executive session, followed by the recognition of those recipients from the Governor's Awards. We already did our Pledge of Allegiance. And I'd like to read the President's announcement that the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Board of Education offices located at Cedar Street and Evergreen Avenue, Scotch Plains, New Jersey. Such notice is also provided in writing and notice forwarded to the Times, the Township Clerk of Scotch Plains, the Borough Clerks of Fanwood, and the annual notice of the regularly scheduled meetings as adopted March 30th, 2017. So our instructional update was the recognition of the recipients for the Governors of the Educator of the Year Awards and the New Jersey Exemplary Secondary Educator Awards. At this time, Dr. Hayes, District Goals 2017-18.
Thank you. I'm going to pass these out, and members of the audience have them as well. So these are the proposed goals for 17-18 that are the follow-up to our strategic plan. Does everybody have a copy?
These are extras.
What?
Are these extras?
Already have one? Everybody? Yeah. They're good. Okay. So as you'll recall, during our strategic planning that we went through in the fall, we identified 4 major goal areas that we would look to advance over the next 3 years. One is the area of health and wellness for our students, and I am proposing tonight, with the input from our administrators, supervisors, and other staff members, that we will be focusing on the following this year as the first step in the 3-year plan. So first, we would like to create, under health and wellness, opportunities for students to participate in mindfulness activities to improve their focus and resiliency while reducing stress. For example, the high school mindful lunch sessions and creating middle school mindful moments announcements, as well as what they are calling brain breaks, when they can regroup. In addition, we'd like to develop and implement a social skills activities for our elementary schools for identified students. Extend learning about digital citizenship to elementary students through lessons designed and implemented by elementary media specialists. 4th grade teachers will explore how integrating music, writing, and puppetry into project-based learning can promote student understanding of empathy and body language. 6th grade students will increase their understanding of critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and creativity through participation in a unit examining how multiple perspectives inform understanding of local and global challenges in our complex world. And finally, in that area, the high school students will be exploring high school scheduling options to improve students' learning experiences at the high school. The first year will be exploratory, and then we'll see where we go from there relative to staffing and how we can implement a revised schedule for the high school. Are there any questions under Goal 1? It's labeled as Goal 2 simply because our anchor goals always remain the goals focused on the New Jersey Learning Standards and developing student growth objectives with our teachers to guide academic support for teachers. Okay? Then, yes. Any questions? Okay. Then under Goal 2, which was to create real-world connections across the curriculum, we will be looking at an arts integration team. We'll examine how the integration of art and music into 7th grade writing workshop can improve students' skills in using descriptive language. We'll also be convening a STEAM team to review innovative practices across school districts in order to design a scope and sequence for our SPF schools for implementing STEAM activities and proficiencies for grades K to 8 during the 18-19 school year. This year we'll develop the scope and sequence, and next year we'll move forward with implementation. And we will continue teacher professional development on integrating visual art and music into writing workshop classes in grades 5 through 8. Okay. Under professional development, which received a lot of attention in our strategic planning, we have a number of activities that we are interested in doing this year. First, to deepen understanding of math teaching as well as students' conceptual understanding of fraction concepts, 3 rounds of lesson study will take place for selected teachers in grades 2 to 4. Secondly, we are implementing Teachers Coaching Teachers. This is a project that will provide individualized professional development through which teachers can choose to work one-on-one with a peer coach to hone an aspect of their teaching. We want to pilot Flex Professional Development in the winter-spring of 2018 to provide teachers with additional customized professional development experiences. We are looking at vertical articulation across the district's writing curriculum by identifying tasks at all grade levels that can be used as exemplars, so that teachers can look at what the very best work looks like and help students approach those benchmarks. In early childhood, we have readopted the creative curriculum, and so we will doing the professional development to support the preschool teachers in the implementation of that revised curriculum. And in kindergarten, we are looking at the New Jersey Kindergarten Entry Assessment training and using that assessment data to inform instruction in kindergarten. In our writing workshops, we are supporting our teachers by providing professional development for kindergarten, first and second grade teachers. This is a continuing series that we've done over the last several years. Matt Hall is the facilitator who comes in, and we're extending those experiences to K1 and 2. And lastly, we are implementing Year 3 of the Building Teacher Leadership Capacity Grant that is supported by the New Jersey Department of Education. We are one of the districts across the state that we competed for this grant. We were successful in getting it, and we will be continuing our collaboration with Kean University and the Plainfield Public Schools as we work on continuing to develop teacher leadership activities. The teachers are engaged in creating professional development modules, and they will be presenting those experiences at a conference sponsored by Kean University, and then by extension, they'll be able to share that with other staff in our district. Any questions under professional development? And finally, a very important area is the goal of community and parent engagement. We would like to collaborate with the Scotch Plains Public Library to foster literacy engagement for preschool children and their families by creating and implementing an evening program that will help parents to understand the importance of developing early literacy skills in preschool. We want to review the best practices that we see across the state and other areas in website maintenance so that we can get a better understanding of how to maintain and improve our own website. And we are also reviewing the new compliance guidelines for maintaining school district websites. There's work out there in terms of making websites ADA compliant that we are mindful of and want to be updated with. And we will also be reviewing how districts are using best practices in Twitter and Facebook accounts, mindful of ensuring that we're following good social policy. And finally, we want to recommend parent and community communications updates. We are working to expand the ways in which we can communicate with parents and our community. So those are our proposed goals. I'm not asking for them to be approved this evening. You can reflect on them. If you have any questions about them, reach out to me. And then if we're all in agreement, we can adopt them at the end of January.
Thank you, Dr. Hayes.
Okay.
On January 30th, Ryan Miller will be a Sectional Award of Merit, and Sabrina Delala will be honored as well. Now, we didn't list the additions to the agenda, but I see we do have a couple of them. 1S being out-of-district placements, and 11 BUS, and 12 BUS. Are there any others?
We have, right, yeah, okay.
Those are the three I just saw. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, in accordance with the Scotch Plains Fanwick Public Schools Bylaws 0164 and 0165, the meeting will be open for 15 minutes for public comments, maximum 2 minutes per speaker. Please come to the mic. Please state your name and your town of residence. Seeing no one, move on to committee reports. Are there any reports this evening? Amy Winkler, please.
Hi, I have a policy committee report. The policy committee met on January 10th. We are continuing to review policies as changes are suggested to us by Strauss Esme. And we have several that we're looking at now. And I guess should I give the whole report now?
Sure.
Why not? All right. We are looking at policy 0169.02, board member use of social networks. This would be a completely new policy for us. It's not a mandated policy, but it was suggested by Strauss Esme. It would be a bylaw consistent with the School Ethics Commission decisions and advisory opinions. It aligns with some of the provisions that are already in our policy guide, policies 3282 and 4282, which are use of social networking sites for teaching staff members and the use of social networking sites for support staff members. This would be a similar policy for board members. And it provides guidance for board members' personal use of social networks. Also, policies 3437 for military leave for teaching staff and policy 4437 for military leave for support staff. This one also is recommended to us. These changes are prompted by recent clarification regarding board's payment of an employee's salary when the employee is serving active duty in a branch of the federal or state military, and requires revisions to these two policy guides. Where are we? We'd be removing a word from a phrase that's in there already, which would mean only a full-time temporary officer or employee who has served the district less than 1 year does not have to be paid for military service, while a permanent officer or employee is required to be paid. And some language has been added to these policies to align with applicable statutes and codes. Also, our regulation 5460.1 regarding high school transcripts was revised to include the list of updated transcript information outlined in the New Jersey Administrative Code. Also, on surveying different school districts over the years, high schools do not routinely send disciplinary records with college application materials. And there is no statute or code requiring disciplinary records be included on a student's transcript or other records sent by a high school in the college application process, and therefore the revised regulation will indicate discipline records may only be forwarded by the high school to a college or university with the consent of the parent or adult student. This is mandated, so this is a change we have to make whether we want to or not, though I think we're probably in agreement with it anyway. Policy 5516.01, student tracking devices. This would be a completely new policy for us. A device on school grounds that enables recording and/or transmitting of audio and/or video communications that's either taped or provides one-way or two-way audio and/or video communications would be a violation of student privacy rights governed by the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act and the New Jersey Administrative Code. This policy guide is developed, has been developed permitting a student to have a tracking device, but prohibits the recording or transmission of audio or video. And this is strongly suggested to us by Strauss Esme. Regulation 7101, educational adequacy of capital projects. This is regulation that exists already. These are minor changes due to oversight from the former draft of the policy, which had said district factor group E, but district factor should be removed from there as it's not really applicable. Group E stands for educational buildings as determined by the Commissioner of the Department of Community Affairs. And also there's a citation code for the New Jersey Administrative Code that needs to be changed to be applicable. Policy 7425, lead testing of water in schools. Of course, we did test all the water in schools. New Jersey schools were required to have water tested for lead by July 30th of this past year, and that is done. This policy was developed providing lead testing requirements for after July 13th of 2017. It is mandated by statute. The policy is not mandated, but it's based on the importance of the issue. It's highly recommended that we do update this policy. Policy 9242, use of electronic signatures. This is another one that is a completely new policy for us. New Jersey's Uniform Electronic Transactions Act and the New Jersey statutes annotated provides the statutory authority for electronic records and signatures relating to routine transactions or communications between school and home. This policy was developed to incorporate the requirements relating to the school district's use of electronic forms, filings, and signatures, and it is recommended. And as we are going in the direction of paperless, I think that would be the way to go. So,
Thank you.
Good job. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah,
I have a question. The new policy regarding the tracking, within that, it's the video and, I guess, audio. Yes.
Do some teachers use video? I mean, I know at home, they want you to video and then bring it to school. There's many assignments that have been like that. I know when my kids were there. Is there so they can't video anything in school? Is that, I was having trouble trying to get the context of that policy.
Yeah. Part of the challenge is that if people are live streaming video, that's one thing we have to be concerned about, because a student is not only capturing the object that they may be videoing, but they may also be capturing other students. And that's what's prohibited, because that's a violation of FERPA. So it's not that a class can never be videoed, but it has to be videoed under, the proper conditions. So if teachers are creating a video for kids to watch at home, they can still do that.
No, this is where students create a video as homework and present it to they show it in class, or they present it, and sometimes they might even do it in class. I'm not really sure, but I know videos have been created at home with other students.
As long as all of the students are aware and their parents are aware that they are in the video, you can still do that. This wouldn't prohibit that. But this is really getting at where people might be videoed or audio taped unknowingly.
How do you monitor that?
It's challenging, but if you don't have a policy, you can't. You have to have a policy in place in order to create the expectations that it won't happen.
Okay.
Right? Because otherwise the policy's silent on it.
So if the kids are in the lunchroom and they're videotaping, they can't do that.
It shouldn't be. Unless the right conditions are created to have it done in an appropriate way.
Okay. I think that's going to be really hard. And it's very vague.
Yeah, well, this is the
what's
first,
okay and what's not.
It's a first step to have the policy.
And it reflects, the greater world practice. If we go to a concert, we're told not to record it. We know that people do. And, that's on their personal conscience. But if then they go to use it publicly, you have, the policy to point to that you were not allowed to do that.
True, but because it's so readily available, you almost can now, at a concert, for instance, you can really video. People video, and in front of security, you video and you put it on Facebook you do live streaming while you're at the concert. So, it's much more lax because almost everybody can video, and as well as...
Concerts I go to.
Got to go to Luther concerts. But I don't know, it's a very vague, wide gray line as far as even just using educational purpose or not. And the whole thing.
Right, but we do. I agree with having the policy because I think a lot of parents would not want the technological footprint of their children created without their knowledge. So,
but I will say that nobody, I don't know, like language classes, for instance, they do a lot of that where they're speaking in whatever language and they're videotaping and they're at somebody's house or whatever they're doing. But it's
educational purposes.
But that's the same kind. No one has asked me, is it okay if my child does this video? It's not. There's no formality to it, I guess is where I'm going.
Right.
So if you have a policy like this to do it educationally, which I don't disagree with, I think there needs to be a really hard line, because otherwise you can't, I don't know how this gets enforced. The French teacher didn't necessarily say to me, Mrs. Brody, is it okay if your children are in a video? Nobody asked me that. I don't have a problem, but I understand where people would. Yeah. So that's, that's
well, isn't that covered? Don't we get paperwork initially asking for educational purposes?
Yes.
Is it okay to video or take photographs of our children?
Yes.
That would be covered in that?
We do have a process through which parents can give permission. Tonight, if you take pictures of students, we do work very diligently we do have some parents who ask that their children's images not be used, and we do follow up on that. We're very respectful in that regard. So Strauss Esme was recommending this policy in response to districts' concerns about being able to have a practice that then has the backing of policy.
So I guess it's like a work in progress. It's like a step one.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Any other committee reports?
I do.
Soriani?
Okay. The Facilities Committee met on January 8th. We discussed, the committee is proposing completing all of the district's roofing projects this coming summer in 2018, which would be the Media Center wing at Coles Elementary School, the multi-purpose room and fifth grade wing at McGinn, the Media Center wing and upper original building at Park Middle School, the auditorium wing, covered drop-off area, music room, and connector to the multi-purpose room at Terrell. And in completing all 4 of those projects, roofing projects at once, the district wouldn't need to complete any additional roofing projects until 2021, which we feel like makes sense to do that all at once. In seeing if that takes place, that would mean that we would propose putting the window projects for School 1 and Terrell, putting those off and postponing those projects. The other thing that was discussed was the polymer gym floors in 4 elementary schools, Brunner, Evergreen, McGinn, and School 1, were tested for the presence of mercury. Omega Environmental Services did the testing, and we received the results on a couple days ago on January 16th that there was no mercury detected in any of those gym floors, thankfully. So no further action is needed on those. And that was it.
Thank you, Ms. Soriani. Any questions? Okay, any other reports? Dr. Clancy?
Finance Committee met. We also went over the proposed roofing projects at Terrell, Park, McGinn, and Coles, and the related masonry work that would be done. And we also talked about that going forward, we would support the fee for Potter Architects to design, submit the plans to the NJDOE, complete construction and bid documents, and oversee the construction administration, and that is $188,000 at $188,700, and that is actually one of our business. It's a business item tonight. So the Finance Committee supported that plan, and that was it.
Thank you, Dr. Clancy. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you. If there are no more reports, we'll move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Hayes?
Thank you, Dr. Kulikowski. Tonight, I would ask that the board approve 1S with the additions to the agenda. These are changes in out-of-district placements for 2 students. One is at the Cranford Achievement Middle Program, and the other is through Union County Ed Services for their work readiness program.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Any discussion? It passes.
At our next meeting, I will ask that the board approve or affirm the superintendent's decisions in the 5 HIB cases that were reported in executive session on December 21st. And 3S tonight, I would ask that the board approve the field trips listed on the agenda. Terrell Middle School 8th grade students in the Language Arts Writing Workshop are planning to visit the Metropolitan Museum of Art in April. And Terrell's 8th grade book club, their book chatter club, want to visit the New York Public Library and Bryant Park at the end of March.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Is there any discussion?
At our next meeting, I will be asking if you are inclined to approve the calendar, the school calendar for the 2018-19 school year. At this time, I'm recommending only one draft of the calendar, and I want to review it so that you have an understanding of what the plan is. In the 18-19 calendar, all 3 of the holidays that we traditionally recognize in September, the 3 days of Jewish holidays, all fall on days of the week. So that puts a little burden on getting those required 180 days in, because September 3rd is Labor Day. So we are planning to start the year on September 4th with our organizational meetings for staff, their faculty meetings, and then the 5th, students would return for a full day of school. School would then be closed on the 10th and the 11th for Rosh Hashanah. So they'll have a 3-day week the first week, and then a 3-day week the second week. Students are smiling. And then the next week, they'll have a 4-day week because of Yom Kippur. They finally have a full week of school the last week in September. In October, we'll have a good solid month, and
Unless it snows.
Unless it's, I hope not in October, but schools will be closed for students on Columbus Day, but they will be open for staff for PD. And then in November, this is a change from what I've recommended in the past. We will be closed for Teachers' Convention, which is the same, and we'll be closed for Thanksgiving with the half day before it. But I am recommending that we move the elementary parent conferences to the week of Teachers' Convention.
Yes, please.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Because this will create a solid week of school the following week.
That's a good idea.
And this should accommodate the conferences. We'll also, so the elementaries will be closed on the 5th and the 7th. They'll close early. They'll have a single session day, but the whole district will have an early closing day on the 6th, because that's election day. And we try to do that to help mitigate the traffic in our buildings relative to elections. And then moving on, winter break would be from the 24th through January 1st, and then Martin Luther King Day is Monday, January 21st. In February, students would have off the 15th and the 18th. The 15th will be a staff development day, and then the 18th is President's Day. March is a solid month of school, April, we'll have spring break the 15th through the 19th. And then in May, Memorial Day is the 27th. If we were to use absolutely no snow days, which rarely happens, we would give back a day on the 24th. Otherwise, I will hold on to those days in case of emergency closings needed through the balance of the year. And then finally, this brings us to the last day of school being June 20th. The last 2 days would be our traditional single session days. Graduation would be on June 20th, and then 21st would be staff development. We will be talking with the elementary teachers about potentially moving to a trimester basis for elementary report cards in conjunction with this calendar, because we think it's prudent to have the conferences a little bit earlier, and give parents, teachers the opportunity to talk about the kids' strengths and areas that they may need some help with. And then by moving to a trimester, the report cards potentially would go out in early December. The standards-based report card is a pretty intense document to create, and this will give the teachers more opportunity to accurately assess students. And so the convergence of that with the movement of the conferences, we believe, creates a very positive flow. The only other single session days that we need to add to this calendar are the back-to-school nights, where the teachers have a single session day, but that will intersect with where we plan our board meetings. If we can get our board to meet on the 18th and the 25th, Tuesdays in September, it frees up Thursdays because the teachers do prefer to have back-to-school nights on Thursdays. So I'm guessing the back-to-school nights could be the 20th, the 27th, and then the 4th. But we wanted to first defer to find out where our board meetings will be, and then we'll work the back-to-school nights around that. So I'm not asking for approval tonight. I just wanted to, we'll put this on the website, and that way we've got some time to get feedback, and we can look to adopt it at the end of the month if everyone is interested in doing it then.
Yeah, I just want to put out that if the 19th is Yom Kippur, then it starts the night of the 18th.
Yes, so, that's true. We wouldn't be able to do that. We might be able to do the board meeting on the 13th, though. That would work. If we did the 13th and the 25th for the board meetings, then that would be the 20th, the 27th, and the 4th for the back-to-school nights. That would work. Right. Okay, so that's we'll look to see if we're ready to adopt it on the 30th. Okay, and then also on the 30th, I will ask that the board approve the classes for the creative summer workshops. If we haven't gotten you that list, we will be getting that to you. I think it was part of the...
Personnel.
It was under personnel.
Yeah.
The staffing, we also have a matrix of the actual descriptions of the courses. And then finally, we would hope that unless there are recommended changes or more discussion, I would ask that at our meeting on January 30th that the board approve the district goals as reviewed tonight. And then finally, I would ask that the board approve the personnel agenda as reviewed in exec.
So moved.
It's a roll call.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Yes, I have to go back to my original list because I don't have a voting list tonight. Mrs. Winkler?
Yes.
Dr. Clancy?
Yes.
Mrs. Brody?
Yes.
Mrs. Suriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams? Dr. Kulikowski?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm going out of...
That's okay.
Everybody voted yes.
Okay, so the motion passes. Any discussion?
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Hayes. Moving on to the business functions. Mrs. Saradaki, please.
Yes, I'd like to group the three items I'd like voted on, if I could.
Sure.
Okay. The first item is the approval of staff training. Move that the Board of Education approve the superintendent's recommendations for staff training reimbursements on the report dated January 18, 2018. The second item is the transfer of funds from capital reserve, and this would be an anticipated maximum total for the roofing projects, all costs included, including permits and architect fees and everything. I'm asking the board to approve transfer of $2,878,354 from the capital reserve for the roofing projects at Coles, McGinn, Park, and Terrell. And the last item is on the additions to the agenda. There's two more on the additions. 11 BUS is the New Jersey Non-Public Security Aid Program Agreement with Union County Ed Services. The state has been coming out later in the year, every year, with security aid. They haven't, whereas the other types of aid, such as nursing and technology and textbook aid, they let us know in June what the following year that we will be getting aid for those. Security, they wait, and so that's why we're approving it at this time.
Okay.
And so we're asking Union County Ed Services to handle the expenditures of those funds for us, for the non-publics. And the agreement is the same as it's been in the past, where there's a 12% surcharge. And 12 BUS is the approval of the architect to oversee the roof replacement and masonry restoration for the summer 2018. And that's asking that Potter Architects will handle the following in the roofing projects: the plans and specifications, submitting the plans and specifications to the State Department of Education, modifying the long-range facility plan, providing construction oversight, and all other services covered in the proposal, which I believe you were all given a copy of. His costs will not exceed $188,700, and we'll be withdrawing that from capital reserve. And we're also, as per the state, the requirements, the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education will approve amending the long-range facility plan to include these restoration projects for the 4 schools. The submission of these projects and the long-range facility plan amendments to the Department of Education, and that these projects are other capital, and that the board is not seeking state funding. This is wording the state requires, so. And those are the items I'd like to be approved this evening.
We have a motion for 1, 8, 11, and 12 BUS.
So moved.
Second. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay, the other items on the agenda, 2 BUS is the acknowledgement of receipt of the disbursement listings for various bank accounts for December 2017. 3 BUS is receipt of the security and fire drill reports for the month of December 2017. 4 BUS is for related services. At this time, we don't have any, but we most likely will have one for next week. It'll be in addition to the agenda. 5 BUS is asking for the board to approve the submission of and the acceptance of funds in the amount of $623, which is 1/3 of the total award to be used to purchase supplies and professional development of teachers as they implement e-cyber mission with students. This was for 1 teacher. This was an additional amount, which you had approved an earlier amount. 6 BUS is actuarial services for the year 2017-18. This is what would be considered off year. Every other year, we were able to just roll over numbers, and then so it was, the cost to us was only about $2,000 from the actuary, and then every other year, we had to pay for a full evaluation. Because the state changed from GASB 45 to GASB 75, we had to have full evaluation last year and then again this year because the requirements changed slightly. So we're asking for the board to approve the same company we've been using with no price increase. 7BUS, I'm asking for a contract renewal with Prevention Specialists Incorporation for Department of Transportation testing for our school bus drivers. There are additional lab costs this year that will take effect because the DOT is requiring additional tests for the bus drivers, but what this company does is handle the random drug testing. They handle our initial tests, which we're required to administer before they have employment with us, and then they handle the selection of the random for $250. So nobody here can be accused of, favoring somebody over another person. So
It's $250 per person that they select.
$250 for the year.
Oh.
Total. And then we just pay them for the exams, which are very reasonably priced. Then 9BUS will be the motion for the board to acknowledge receipt of the board secretary reports, treasurer of school fund reports, and budget adjustments for the month of December 2017. 10BUS will be the approval of the bill list for the period December 16th through January 24th.
Thank you, Ms. Saradaki. And if there are any questions about any of these, please don't hesitate to contact Ms. Saradaki before the next meeting. Okay, moving on, board policies. Amy, you covered some of them. Did you cover one?
I covered some of them. One POL are the policies that were discussed at last month's meeting, I guess. I move that the Board of Education approve, no, actually, I won't move that now, because I'll move it at the next meeting.
Those are the ones we did last.
Yeah, exactly. So at the next meeting, I will be moving that the board approve second and final reading for adoption of the following policies. Policy and Regulation 2418, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 for students, that's new. Policy and Regulation 5116, Education of Homeless Children, that's a revised policy. Policy and Regulation 8330, Student Records, and Policy 8350, Records Retention, which is new. And then I will also, at the next meeting, 2POL, I will move that the board approve first reading for adoption of the policies that I discussed earlier this evening.
Great. Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Okay. Is there any new board business? Seeing none. Other board business? Request to attend workshops?
I have one.
This is Dr. Clancy.
I would like to go, the New Jersey School Boards is having a training called Social Media, Too Much or Not Enough of a Good Thing. And it is on Friday, March 2nd from 9 to 1 o'clock. Social media can engage the community and help advance public education, but it's not without challenges. So I would like to go and learn and bring back what I learned.
I don't believe there's any charge for that either, right?
Actually, there is.
There is, okay.
$75.
Even for board members?
It says member price.
Yes.
$75.
So you need a vote on it.
Okay. So can I have a motion? Dr. Clancy has proposed that she wants to go to the course, Social Media, Too Much or Not Enough. Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion passes. Any discussion about that? Anybody want more information?
I know.
Nobody else is interested?
I don't watch the lips.
Okay, thank you.
I can't see them.
No?
We were just discussing the fact that on that side of the room, you're very quiet in your voices. It's difficult for us to pick up who is
Sometimes we
seconding
can't
the
even hear
motion.
the motion.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. It feels loud. Okay.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay. Any workshop reports?
Yes.
Mrs. Winkler?
Last night I went to the Union County School Boards Association meeting. which was a different format from what I've seen at previous meetings. They had small group discussions, which was an interesting way to do it. Gwen Thornton, who is our field service rep, who we all know from various things, but probably most recently our strategic planning efforts. She led a small group discussion with newly elected board members to give them sort of I don't know, an overview of what to expect kind of thing, or answer any questions they had. That was one group. Another group was meeting with Christopher Jones from the New Jersey School Boards Association. He's a legislative advocate for them. He had a discussion going about governmental relations, where basically he just, whatever questions you have about what we're doing and what's going on and what to expect, new administration and whatnot, he was there for that. There was a woman, Mon Lee, who was from, and I'm going to mangle this name, I always do, Nisavacia, which is the company that we use for our audits. She was there to talk about school finance, and she also pretty much had to open, any kind of questions you have, just ask them. And then I'm not even sure exactly how much time they gave us for each of the sessions, but at some point they said, okay, wrap it up 2 more minutes, and then you switch. After Gwen was doing the new board member discussion, she then switched to doing new superintendent evaluation discussion. What I will share with you is that I did go and sit in on her superintendent evaluation discussion, and she gave us these booklets which have, basically have the new evaluation format in them. She said they devised this by sitting down with the school administrators, the ASA, and they came up with this, and it's new, and it's different from what we have been doing in the past, although we haven't really been doing the school boards one. We have our own that we've been working on, which is based on the school boards one. It's a little different. This is different as well, and I think we should have a look at it, review it, and determine if we want to switch to this newer format or continue with the format that we've been using. This entire booklet, they made only so many copies, so I only have the one, but it is online at the School Boards Association website if anyone wants to have a look at it.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Very informative. I appreciate that you went last night.
Pleasure.
Okay. Any other reports? No. Okay. Next meeting, we're going to have the Black History Month for February. We have a resolution to be read. 3OBB will be the 2018 Board Committee assignments. So if you have any recommendations, please forward them to Nancy and Dr. Hayes so we can complete that list by the next meeting. And then next meeting, we're also going to have approval of the minutes from December 21st. Okay, in accordance with the Scotch Plains Fairwood Public Schools bylaws 0164 and 0165, the meeting will be open for 15 minutes for public comments, maximum 2 minutes per speaker. Speakers addressing the business functions and other board business will be heard first. If time remains, speakers may address other matters. Please come to the podium, give your name and town of residence. Seeing no one, we'll move on for the good of the order. Anybody have anything for the good of the order? Good. I know it's been quick since the last time we met.
We've had snow.
Yes, the snow, that's right. Okay, if there's no other good of the order, then can I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nobody is going to say no? Nobody's going to abstain. And the next meeting we have is Tuesday, January 30th, a regular public meeting at 7:30 for exec. Okay, thank you. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.